afternoon and welcome to the Capital Investment Committee meeting of April 25th, 2025. April 24th, 2025. Let me go ahead and call roll call. Alderman Brown?
Present.
Alderman Blanton?
Here.
Alderman Caesar? Absent. Alderman Berger. Chair is here. All right. Do we have any considerations to change the agenda or setting the agenda?
Nope, I move
As
to
is?
set as is.
All right.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as submitted from the last meeting?
You mean the minutes?
A minute. I'm sorry. Minutes.
Move to approve the minutes.
Second.
All right. All in favor? Alderman Brown?
Yes.
Alderman Blanton?
Yes.
Alderman Berger, the chair says yes as well. Passes 3-0. All right, we have any citizens or open comments from citizens? Going once, twice? Sold. All right, we'll go ahead and we've already had the approval of the minutes. We'll go to item number 3, consideration to deny sewer availability for 447 Franklin Road. Rochelle.
Hi there. So this is a request to deny sewer availability, 447, or I'm sorry, Franklin Road. Let me pull
Yes.
up the map here. This was a property that was on septic previously, and when we received the request for denial, is we were told that there was septic on the ground. And in one of an ordinance change that y'all approved last year, you gave us the authority in emergency health and situations to be able to approve that immediately and then report it to you. And so this is what we're doing now. So we recommended just to deny sewer this time, and then we're in the letter that we wrote, the next time that they need to fix their system, they need to extend the low pressure main that's running along Franklin Road to this residence and connect to it. So just kind of on an emergency basis, wanted to be able to get them. There was a neighbor that had health issues. We wanted to be able to take care of that as quickly as possible.
Understood.
Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Alderman Brown?
Yes.
Alderman Blanton?
Yes.
Alderman Berger, chair says yes, that passes 3-0. Item number 4, consideration of resolution 2025-28, resolution authorizing the city administrator to approve agreements and the use of condemnation if necessary to acquire right-of-way and or easements for the Southeast Park water line. Oh, Michelle.
Thank you. So this is a resolution to begin the condemnation process. So we have just started the survey process. This is in case we were to need it. We don't anticipate there being an issue, but this project is explicitly tied to the South Park construction. And this water line loop is needed for the park to be able to go vertical with some of the park construction that they have. So there's kind of a little bit of a timeline, which is why we wanted to get this started as immediate as possible. But we don't anticipate there being an issue with the property owner.
Condemnation is always a last resort. You're
Yeah.
granting that authority, but we will use that only if all other
Yeah.
efforts to negotiate and figure it out with property owners fail.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, any discussion or questions here?
Nope.
All right, all in favor, Alderman Brown?
Yes.
Alderman Blanton?
Yes.
And chair votes yes. Passes 3-0. Number 5, consideration of draft City of Franklin Contract 2025-0122 with Middle Tennessee Electric Membership Corporation for an easement acquisition utility relocation agreement for the Columbia Avenue Widening and Improvements Project, T-Dot PIN 121454.00.
So now that we're in right-of-way acquisition phase for Columbia Avenue project, this is one of the utility relocations for that project. And because we know inevitably with having 58, 59 properties, whatever that number exactly is, I can't remember off the top of my head, that inevitably there's going to be some condemnations on that project. There usually are, especially with TDOT and federal funding projects of that nature. So we can't, as a city, condemn on behalf of a utility provider. So it just made sense to go ahead and get Middle Tennessee Electric to do their own acquisitions for their easements along the corridor. So this is what that's for. It's to allow them to acquire their own easements to relocate the power lines. So this is to do the acquisitions of easements and they've guesstimated 6 to 7 condemnations.
All right, do you have a motion?
Move to approve.
And-
Second.
All right, any questions? Go ahead, Alderman Brown.
And I'm assuming we're burying everything going forward down Columbia and all.
No.
right?
Not on
No?
Columbia,
No, it's
we are
overhead.
not.
Really?
They are trying to
Relocating,
consolidate
yeah.
to one side though, as much as possible. So where everything's kind of on two sides now, they're trying to move everything to one side as much as possible.
And why? And why is that?
Expense.
It's a huge cost.
So whereas in a normal neighborhood, you might see it's just service lines that you're trying to underground, these are huge primary lines that are serving industry and business. You'd be talking many, many tens of millions of dollars to put this underground.
I have a question then. Are these the very large poles?
Yes, they will be very large poles.
Very, very large.
Well, they won't be like TVA size poles,
They're
but
not
they'll
TVA?
be. No, they're not TVA. It's just Middle Tennessee Electric.
So they're not as large as the TVAs?
No.
Okay.
But they'll be larger than a normal pole, yes.
And you're saying that they're gonna try to locate them on one side?
As much as possible. I mean, there'll still be crossing poles and there'll be poles on both sides, but it won't be a main run down both sides.
And will there be lines crossing the street?
There will be
then?
some lines, yeah, they still have to serve both sides.
But not too
It won't be a main run down both sides.
interesting. Well, I guess the cost got us, so.
I guess. Yeah. It's a
All right.
shame. Then. Yeah.
All right, I've had a motion and second.
Yeah.
So, all in favor, Alderman Brown?
Yes.
Alderman Blanton?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Thank you. Oops, sorry, got a wrong thing. Number 6, we are at consideration of City of Franklin contract 2025-0126, a professional service agreement with Boozer and Company, PC for the right-of-way appraisal service on the Old Paytonsville Road and Long Lane Bridge Connector, the minimum bid project.
So this is the appraisal contract for that project. We actually did the resolution to allow for acquisition of the properties and condemnation if necessary several years ago when we acquired the one property next to the Ag Center. So that's already been done. That was done several years ago. We did that for the larger overall project, which actually does encompass these. I want to say this is 17 properties we're going to affect with the smaller project. So it's actually a much smaller number of parcels. But this is for that appraiser to come on board. It's the same style of appraisal we would do for a TDOT project. It just doesn't require a review appraisal, things like that. So, but same style of appraisal.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, a little bit more simple then,
Yes.
I would think. All right, all in favor, Alderman Brown?
Yes.
Alderman Blanton?
Yes.
And chair votes yes. Passes 3-0. Number 7, consideration of the City of Franklin contract 2024-0072 with DRB Preservation Trust, Preservation at Sheridan for a road impact fee offset agreement for an amount not to exceed $239,056.
I feel bad that you had to read all that now because I talked to our development team earlier today and they asked that this actually be deferred until next month. They're still working with
Oh,
the
really?
developer on this.
Okay. All right, do I have a deferral?
Motion to defer.
Second.
And that would be May
Would
20,
you-
May
okay,
22nd.
May
You want a
22nd.
date? Okay, to what? May 22nd? All right. All in favor, Alderman Brown?
Yes.
Alderman Blanton?
Yes.
And Alderman Berger, chair votes yes. All right. Number 8, capital project dashboard and status update. Jonathan?
I'll always take any questions, but I guess I'll start out with, we were planning on having the McEwen groundbreaking tomorrow, but since the forecast of rain and it poured down rain today, we thought it better to postpone that until next Tuesday. So it'll be actually groundbreaking one day after we
Better be
start
about it.
construction. So the start of construction for McEwen is on Monday. That's a 3-year project. So starting on Monday, the 28th, that puts 1,080 days construction. I think what I looked up earlier was it'd be April 11th, 2028 is the estimated completion date. So sounds like a long time, but there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. So it'll feel like a long time when we're doing it. It won't be a painless process by any stretch of the imagination, but it'll be worth it when it's done. So looking forward to getting that one underway. We've got a good contractor on board.
Yeah, we do. Do we have built into this contract if they get finished early rewards?
No, unfortunately on this one, it uses transportation funds from the feds.
Cannot do
We cannot
it,
do
can we?
that, but we do have liquidated damages built in.
We do?
That's
Okay.
standard.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't it? It's always there.
We actually met, our team met yesterday, engineering and parks, to go over the Liberty Park expansion plans. So that Liberty Park set of plans is basically at a construction stage. There were a few comments there to address. Once those comments are addressed and staff is comfortable with those, they'll get the bid package ready. And so in the next couple of months, we should see that go out to bid. We received as a part of that package, we also received from a consultant the bridge redesign, so the entry bridge for that project. Remember, we tried to bid that one out and it came in a little more than we expected, so we were able to value engineer that bridge actually as a complete replacement, but shorten the bridge length actually in half of what we were originally proposing to just renovate the bridge to a full replacement of the entry bridge. It's got the wooden deck down there near the dog park. So those plans are complete as well. So we'll be looking and make the decision of whether to bid that with the park or whether to bid that as a separate project. We're still making that determination right now.
How does that work with all the construction people all the construction trucks going over that? If we build that, is it totally concrete?
It'll be completely concrete.
And then they won't damage that going over? They're going to do that
Well,
first?
and actually, the good thing is that the redesign is actually going to save money by not requiring us to relocate the sewer that was originally going to be relocated. They can actually use the existing bridge. So it's actually not going to be on the same alignment as the bridge. We were actually able to change the alignment just a little bit. So the existing bridge will stay in place the whole time. They can build a new bridge right next to it. And then when the new bridge is in place, they tear the old bridge out.
Oh,
So we won't have to close the bridge like we thought we were going to. So it saves the temporary crossing and also saves the cost of relocating the sewer line.
are these trucks going to be able to go over that?
They should be able to. That'll be something we'll look at and we'll work with our consultant. I mean, right now, we also have salt trucks going across them every winter,
do,
so
but
we can limit that.
Yeah, I just look at it for safety.
Yeah,
It's a little rickety, but.
yeah, that'll be something we'll definitely monitor.
Okay. Where's the staging area is going to be there when they're doing all the work? Inside the park?
It'll be inside the
Okay,
park.
in the back. Okay. All right. Anything else? You have any questions, any projects?
So,
When do they actually get started? This Friday, tomorrow, don't they, on McEwen?
Monday.
Monday? Okay.
Yeah, and when I say get started, it'll be putting out
Yeah.
traffic signs, erosion control fence. So you won't see a whole lot of earth moving for probably the first month, but after that you'll start seeing some roadway shifts for utility relocations and things like that. So you'll start seeing some work here in the next couple of months.
And the staging area is going to be east of Wilson Pike, correct?
That'll be so what people are seeing there now. We've got a lot of questions about if we're starting McEwen 5 yet, and that's no, we're not starting McEwen 5 yet. It's actually the job trailer for the contractor over there.
Yeah.
So they'll probably try to park people over there as much as they can. They'll have some staging over there. It's not a huge lot, so they'll do some staging there. There'll be some staging along the project, just because of limited space, but they'll do as much as they can on the city property across Wilson Pike from McEwen.
Okay.
That's correct.
actually, how about an update on Lewisburg? Where are we
There you go.
on Lewisburg? And
I would actually have to let Michelle come up for that one.
Yeah, so right now Garney is still in that area between Margin and Adams right now. They anticipate being done with that phase. Let's see, they're running a little bit ahead, but mid-May was the estimation. I assume it might be the beginning of May. Then they'll move to just the Adams Street intersection. There's some stormwater that the engineering group wanted us to improve in that intersection, and some curb and gutter as well. And then they'll do just Adams to Stewart, that little bit left. There is still the work that needs to be done in the 5 Points intersection, and we're working through how to do that as efficiently as possible, but we are looking to try and be done before school starts in August. So that's the goal. How we're gonna try and see if we can have a smaller group do the 5 Points intersection while work is occurring, so we don't have to be so phased and take longer. But we're still working through progress meetings on that. So.
thank you.
Anything else?
I will also mention that work has started on both Southeast Park and
Good.
Robinson Lake Dam as well. So work has started on both of those projects.
That's the Pearl.
The Pearl.
We're trying to take Southeast Park out of our.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually use the name, right?
So let me touch on two things that may be of interest. This morning, first thing, Michelle and I signed off on the permit submission to TDEC for the South Clean Water Plant. So that's going to take at least a year, probably work through all that permitting, but this is the permitting for start that process related to the plant in the south that is part of the Pearl Bransford complex down there. So that has started to roll there. The other piece I just want to mention, Jonathan and I sat in a meeting with GNRC yesterday to review the regional transportation plan update. And our team has submitted rough numbers around $900 million of projects to identify the needs in our community, many of which we talked about on Tuesday night. The Mac Hatcher projects, the improvements to Franklin Road, Carruthers, the completion of Mac Hatcher Loop, all those elements that are seen as long-term projects, the interchange at I-65 and Murfreesboro Road, all of which identified, talked about timeframes and needs and those elements. Jonathan really led that discussion, very impressed with his just immediate knowledge and depth on everything we're talking about there. But just wanted to highlight for you how much we have highlighted and submitted all those projects for consideration from the regional planning standpoint. TDOT is part of that audience as well. And it also helps justify the need for transportation funding, not just at the state, but also the federal level as they look at reapprovals and that kind of stuff. They see the deficit of, just in Franklin alone, almost $1 billion of project needs to meet what we've got from a transportation standpoint. So just wanted to highlight that work. Maybe Jonathan, I can share with you that list. It's just interesting to look at.
See it.
It just gives you a sense that all that is on the radar and the work that engineering and especially Jonathan puts in to help identify those needs and get those in the system. So
And essentially, we submitted 20 projects just for Franklin. A lot of those overlap with what we would normally expect for TDOT to be the lead agency, but we wanted to make sure those were submitted because they're projects that affect us.
Yeah.
So, and TDOT would not submit those. So TDOT's changed the way they do project submittals. They only submit a project now if it's in their 10-year plan, whereas they would have used to submitted a list of, it was a crazy list of like probably 50 projects, just for our region. So now they submitted a list of maybe 7 projects because that's all that's in the 10-year plan. So they're working through to come up with a way to submit projects in our horizon years, which is 25 years out into the future. And it's also a little bit different way of looking at it for us as well, as where most cities look at it, and we do as well in the past, have looked at it as we only submit projects that we think we want to get federal funding on, and really that's not the way the MPO is tasked to look at things. They're looking at regional improvements of where those investments are made in transportation. Even if they're made with local dollars, they want to show that there is a need and that the funding is being spent even from a local level to improve transportation, so they can show that need to both the state and the federal government that there's need out there for transportation, and hey, the locals are doing it. So even while we submitted $800 million that we may hope to get funding on part of that, I'll actually be submitting more projects to them at their request, so it'll probably be well over $1 billion when we're done submitting that, just to show the need of projects that we're submitting to them. So basically, think of our CIP document. We have our 10-year CIP. We submitted a lot of those projects, transportation-wise, to get funded. There'll be a lot of things that are in our CIP that are in future horizon years, so think of our major thoroughfare plan. We'll be submitting a lot of those projects because they know those need to be built by 2040, 2050. So those projects will get submitted as well.
And Jonathan, what do they typically, like when they look at that regional list, are they looking at improvement to the network? Are they looking at economic impact?
They look at all of those. So
Safety.
Safety, state of good repair. There's a list of, and I can actually send you a list of those
I would love
priority
to see all
factors.
that, yeah.
And we actually are in the process, or are about to be in the process of ranking those. And as the technical coordinating committee member, and along with my other counterparts at the other cities and agencies, we'll make recommendations, and the mayor and his counterparts at the Transportation Policy Board will vote on the final makeup of those pieces and parts that prioritize those. And GNRC actually serves as kind of that independent third party that ranks everything, and that's kind of where the start of what the federal funding looks like over the next 25 years. They actually have to have a physically constrained plan where that money goes. And think of your regional transportation plan like it's a regional version of our major thoroughfare plan. Nothing actually gets funded out of that, but it has to be in that very plan first to go to then a TIP, which is the Transportation Improvement Program, that actually designates funding over a 4-year program year horizon to actually give you federal funds for a project. But it has to be in that first plan first. And they're doing both right now in this process.
I think it'd be great. I think it'd be great to see that list, but I think it'd be great to see how they're looking at those priorities, how that's being ranked. I think it'd be really helpful.
Yeah,
for us to
they're very
understand
open
that.
about that process and how they do that, so
Yeah.
it's very good.
Yeah, if you could share it, I'd love
Yeah.
to see it.
And we're sitting in that room with all the other cities in Williamson County. I'm totally biased in saying this, but the depth of planning and thought that's
Yeah.
in our list
Yeah.
really stands out. Not just the quantity, but the quality of thought that's going into how we build out our network and have it function for the needs of our community. Just think that really puts our best foot forward, and thank Jonathan especially
Yeah.
and the engineering team for
for
putting
sure.
that together.
Good job, John.
Yeah, good
We
job.
have some of the best people.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, I will say, you're very articulate when it comes to this, and very,
I was glad he's at the meeting because it was just me.
Well-
Might have been a little scary. So.
but Jonathan and Paul both are very articulate in explaining the details as well, and you know it like the back of your hand, and I really think that that pays off for us too. It really shows that we know what we're talking about down here, and
Well, I appreciate
and
that.
we're serious. Absolutely, absolutely. You always have been great, so we're very fortunate. Anything else, Eric?
No, that's
Anybody else? Mayor? It looks like he wants to say something.
Well, I'd echo all those positive things about Jonathan and the opportunities I have to interact with him, but he and I both will be on a new task force that's looking on improving the process again. We had a task force, and that task force made recommendations to TDOT how to improve their process of moving projects forward. In this new task force, Jonathan and I both will be on that, again, trying to move things forward faster.
Great. Thank you for that.
I do have one more thing I should mention. The governor's budget passed.
Yeah.
State legislature, in particular, the $1 billion for infrastructure, transportation in particular. And so that does open up what we've talked about, our words, sort of a round two of TDOT funding with those dollars. And so we're going to be pursuing additional match related to the southeast widening that's already in the 10-year plan, and the Northwest Mac Hatcher partnership that it has also been submitted. And so stay tuned on that. They will probably complete that by the end of May, early June is, I think, the general understanding. Anything else on that?
What I was told, because I actually asked a little more about that
Yeah.
at the meeting we just had, I was told that they are actually going to release that second version of the plan in early May, is what I was told.
Okay, I thought it was the end of the month, so we'll
That's
see.
what I thought too
Okay.
originally, but I was told early May. So.
All right, so I've reached out to some folks too that have been assisting on this to just get any other guidance. Their advice had been to sort of lay low till the budget got passed,
Yes.
and then see what else we need to do. So stay tuned. We'll let you know on that, but that at least opens up the opportunity, and we'll be continuing to pursue it.
And we submitted those two projects as well to the MPO to potentially get federal funds
Yes.
to make up any difference that we did not get.
Yeah,
So
if nothing
we're still
changes, we'll
working
be
through
looking
as
at
well.
that to fill any remaining
Any
gap on
gaps.
Southeast.
All right. Anything else? Going once, twice? Mark, anybody? All right, do you have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you.